This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN Network. And joining me right now is Peter Pascali. He is the chairman and CEO of PyroGenesis Canada Inc., publicly traded company. The symbol is PYR on both TSX and NASDAQ. And you'll be able to see Peter do a presentation at our upcoming investor virtual event, the SNN Network Summer Virtual Event, happening August 17th through 19th, 2021. To register and hear that presentation, please go to conference.snn.network. And with that, Peter, good to see you. How you doing?
Good to see you, Robert. I'm doing really good, really good. Good to see you again.
Very good. It's great to have you back. So the last time we did an interview together, we published that on April 30th, 2021. So love to get an update. What would you say are some of the highlights of the last couple of months here?
Robert, it seems like all of our offerings, all of our business lines are going gangbusters. Iron ore pelletization, DrawStrike, what we're doing in 3D printing, our relationship with HPQ. And of course, we were also announced an acquisition. So with respect to iron ore pelletization, as people know, what we're doing is iron ore pelletizers are looking at replacing their diesel burners with our clean plasma torch, thereby reducing greenhouse gases. What we've announced so far is that they are typically doing computer simulations and go to ordering torches. Well, we're in that phase right now. We announced a $1.8 million torch purchase by one of our clients. Another 4 torch orders seems to be in the offing. We also announced, which we don't usually announce when someone asks you for a cost estimate for something, but in this case, we found it was very, very important, very material. 36 torches we were asked to quote on from one of our clients, and it seems like the progression is continuing. And that was what's so important. 36 is a specific number, Robert. It seems like they've identified a specific furnace. Well, they'll change out all these torches. We've announced previously that the net present value of a torch to us is about $3 million in revenues. It was a very conservative number because that number anticipated a $1 to $1.2 million torch sale plus maintenance and supply contracts over 5 years. And these things could go for 20 years, not 5. And the first torch order was for 1.8 million, not 1.2. So everything is going really, really well in the iron ore pelletization segment. Within DrawStrike, lots of announcements we made there. DrawStrike's going very well. That's where we recover a valuable metal from a waste stream in the aluminum industry. We spoke about how we're also going to a joint venture with a technology that can handle the residues and repurpose them to a high value end product as opposed to landfilling them, which is what's currently being done, or used as a cheap flux for the cement industry. What's really cool there is we've got DrawStrike. We're inside the fence. We're looking downstream, managing the residues. But we also now, we're looking upstream. We're looking upstream in the DrawStrike process to a very interesting, we got a quote out there for about $40 million. It's using plasma-based technologies to reduce greenhouse gases at the same time. But guess what, Robert? It's even cheaper. It's cheaper than the existing technologies. It's greenhouse gas reducing. So it's extremely interesting. So what we're doing is we're integrating both downstream and upstream. Within the aluminum industry as well, we announced a contract where we have aluminum. Alouette is an aluminum company in Quebec, a rather large one. And we're partnering with them, with Canadian government funding, to look at repurposing the residues that come from spent pot liners, which traditionally go to landfill. It's a huge problem facing the industry, the aluminum industry. And we believe that we may have an answer to that. What we do is we repurpose those residues that are going to landfill. They're dangerous, they're hazardous. Repurpose them into a valuable product. So this is very exciting within the DrawStrike offering. Within the 3D printing, we announced that not only are we finally up and running, but that within 24 hours, 48 hours of announcing that, we announced a contract with an OEM who had been waiting. They're going to qualify our powders. Why that's interesting is obviously if they're going to qualify the powders, they must have some interest in doing so. But it costs them quite a bit of money. So they're putting money on the table to qualify for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's very exciting. So what we're doing is we're producing powders now for the 3D printing industry. We're providing samples to people now that are going to do having a look at it. As you know, Kathy Woods put us in her ETF. There's a 3D printing ETF she put us in. We're one of the few Canadian companies, and when she did, we were OTCQB, which was quite a compliment to us. With respect to HPQ, which is a client where we do a number of things, we're on 3 major projects with them to try and provide value. They own quartz mines, so we're trying to provide value at the mine. What's interesting there is we're part of a $5.3 million program. All the money comes to us, where we will try to take their quartz and convert it in one step to a fumed silica. Fumed silica is a thickening agent for shampoos, toothpaste, cosmetics, things like that. And it's found to be extremely damaging to the environment. If we are correct in our assumption and what we think we can do, we will be able to convert the quartz into a one-step process into fumed silica and reduce the greenhouse gas and damaging environment effects by over 90%. All these things are going on pretty much I think since last time we spoke. I can't recall whether we had announced before that or after that an acquisition of Air Science Technologies. It's a small acquisition, $4.8 million, but it has huge ramifications because what Air Science does is they repurpose landfill gas, which is damaging to the environment, into a pipeline-ready fuel. So a lot of governments now are saying gas pipelines have to have a certain percentage of renewable natural gas, which is what this is. When you transform the landfill gas into pipeline-ready gas, it's a renewable natural gas. And as these laws come into effect, particularly in North America, there seems to be a lack of companies that are capable of doing this. So this is huge, huge, huge. This acquisition, once it's signed and completed, it's going to be huge for PyroGenesis. It meets our strategy to be greenhouse gas reducers. And there's a tsunami of interest in North America to do this. And we believe there's not enough people capable of doing it. So we're adding our engineering expertise, our balance sheet, our credibility to the equation. And that's going to be a real sexy one for sure. Yeah. Well, there you go, Robert.
Yeah, I asked. You're right. I did. That is some. You've been busy.
You're gonna have to use more if you want a more condensed. That's
funny.
So things are really we're on a rip in everything we're doing, and I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But, so that actually leads right into my next question. Obviously there's a lot to update there. You've also done a number of investor events in the last few months, ours included. What would you say is the main question that you get from shareholders or potential investors? And, maybe we can answer it here.
Yeah, well, you could probably take a poll of all the CEOs of public companies, probably the same thing. Why aren't you going faster? Why isn't it signed tomorrow? And it's good. I mean, you're an investor, you hear the news, and a week passes, a month passes, and you're wondering, where's the next piece of news? And what I tell people is, you got to take a chill pill. I mean, it takes 3 months to close a house, and we've been doing house closings for thousands of house closings across North America. It takes at least 3 months, sometimes more, to do something we do day in and day out. When you're trying to close a deal with a multi-billion-dollar company, it's huge. I mean, it's a huge amount of paperwork, a huge amount of boxes that have to be ticked off. I mean, for instance, just something as simple as having insurance. Multi-billion-dollar companies have a traditional paragraph. Each one has their own. You want so much insurance or so much this or that, and they really try and squeeze you on these type of things. But as I've said before, Robert, we're writing contracts and deals that we want to live with. Not just write it, get the press release, get everybody excited, but we have to live with that contract. So a couple of things are affecting things. I tell people, multi-billion-dollar companies have processes and procedures, and it's traditionally a very slow process. And in understanding that from my perspective now, we're actually moving at lightning speed. It may not seem like it, but it's lightning speed. The other thing we have in some of our offerings, and I can't say for a fact, but I suspect the incentives in the world right now, governments are trying to stimulate the economy by giving incentives for infrastructure. You just saw the other day a bill in the United States for infrastructure, and promoting environmental projects. That's great. That is actually a tailwind into a very strong backlog that we already have. However, as companies try to take advantage of these incentives, there's a natural further delay. They have to do the paperwork. They have to sign, put together the packages and send it to the authorities to get sign off. Because oftentimes, if you start a project without the sign off, you lose the government assumes you can do it. You don't need help. So, so this causes a natural delay as well. The question is basically, Robert, why didn't you do it yesterday? And when we don't have news, they assume that everything has gone to a hell in a handbasket, But no, if there's bad news, we have to report it. If there's no bad news, it means everything is going the way we expected it to, or pretty much.
And Peter, you alluded to this a little earlier when you mentioned that you've done a couple acquisitions since our last interview. I have to then ask, how's the M&A pipeline looking now, from what you can tell us, of course?
So right now, what we press release was an acquisition of Air Science, which is in process, and that's going to be very significant once we close that. For the obvious reasons I articulated before. The other one is a joint venture with a company that might be able to could repurpose the residues in DROSRite to a higher valuable end product. Both these are going very well. We haven't announced any other acquisitions, mergers, joint ventures. We want to at least close these ones first, and then maybe look down the road. But it looks good. These two are going to be very nice addition to our offerings.
Very good. All right. Well, so then to close us out here again, also from what you can tell us, what would you say then are some value catalysts now moving forward for the rest of 2021?
So the really big ones that I would look to as members of the audience is our acquisition, closing of Air Science Technology is going to be huge. It really puts it at another level. It puts us about 15 years ahead of where we would be if we had to start from scratch and get into this. I would look at any torch order for iron ore pelletization to be extremely significant, as it validates what we've been saying in the past and what we assume is taking place. Within the DROSRite sector, the closing of the joint venture is also huge, because what it does is it takes our already existing solid DROSRite offering. We're able to repurpose the residues. It makes it it's very difficult to compete with us already. It makes it even much more difficult, and it increases our opportunity to I call it the coffee and donuts. We're already selling coffee. We're going to sell a donut as well and make more money at the same time. Anything that has to do with upstream DROSRite success, and I think that's pretty iron ore pelletization, DROSRite. That's where the news is right now, Robert. And of course, in everything we do in 3D printing, every small sample that goes out, people at the other end are spending money qualifying. So they've had to go through the thought process, and they've had to look at what we're doing and like what we're doing in order to step forward and put the money there. And so we think in 3D printing, we're well on our way.
Very good. Well, Peter, then with that, where can our audience go and find more information on PyroGenesis?
Well, they can go to our website, obviously. There's a couple of platforms that we engage in. One is called Agoracom, where we'll actually answer questions posed there by interested parties. And of course, if you just want any more information, anybody out there, please contact us through our IR website, ir@pyrogenesis.com, or you can email me personally, and we'll try and get you the answers, all within public information, of course, Robert.
Very good. Well, Peter, thank you so much for joining me again. I really do appreciate it. Good luck. Stay safe. And I look forward to our next update.
Thanks a lot. All the best to you.
You too.